Hi everyone, I did a quick time-lapse demo for you. So I ended up recording my kitchen sink, and this was all in the span of one day. So I basically recorded one meal's worth of dishes being done. So the first thing I want you guys to know is that the objectives of this assignment and the whole point of this assignment is to learn how to paint in layers, learn not to get attached to specific areas in your painting. So basically, it'll teach you how to paint over certain areas, whether you're attached to them or not, because you might need to sacrifice an area of a painting that is done in a very skilled manner for the holistic unity of a piece. So that happens every now and again, and it's better to learn not to get attached to paintings, and this is really a good learning experience to teach you guys how to paint in layers, because all paintings are done in several layers. And then it will also teach you how to paint faster and be a little bit more painterly. And by painterly, I mean like a little bit looser, a little bit more gestural. So for the first part of this painting, you can see that I have a little sheet of wax paper. I'm painting in acrylics because I know that's the medium that you guys are using. I set out all my colors on the side just to keep things organized. And I sprayed my piece of wax paper with water. That way it won't absorb all the paint right away, and it will keep the paint wet longer. I already drew out my initial quick sketch of my painting, and now I'm just blocking in the very first initial layers. And again, I'm blocking in the darker areas of the paint. It's not as important that you do this in acrylic paint, but it's a good habit to get used to for acrylic and oil painting. Not so much watercolors. Watercolors are the opposite. I'm starting my painting working from general to specific. So everything is very, very loose right now. I'm keeping it watered down. I'm not too focused on getting the colors completely accurate to what they're going to be. And my main goal is to block in colors that are somewhat close, the darker values, and to cover up all the white space. So now that I have all of the white covered and I have my basic composition blocked in, I'm going to start working in more dark values and more specific colors, and then I'm going to start building up detail and lighter layers of color. And for this time-lapse painting, I'm just painting the basic scene that I'm starting with, which is my sink, and I think I had maybe one or two dishes in it. So I'm painting the overall scene that I'm starting out with. So there is actually a multitude of ways that you can do a time-lapse painting. You can use layering by glazing so that the bottom layers shine through the top layers, and you can still see those objects underneath that you're painting over shine through. That's a really good way to create the illusion of movement in a piece. You can draw over the piece with different colors if you want to. I tend to do both in the painting. So now you can see here I'm starting to paint my sink head again because I kept moving it as I was filling up the sink. Now I'm adding water into the painting because the one picture I was filling up the sink, so the water was running. And that plate that was initially in the left side of the sink, it has been cleaned and washed, so I'm moving it over to the right side. I'm keeping the layer very translucent so you can actually see the dish rack through it. I'm using the method of just drawing. So just straight up contour line drawings in for some of the other objects. And I'm just letting myself stay loose and paint over all the other areas that are being moved. So there's some more dishes that were added into the dish rack. So I'm just painting over the other object. I'm not covering it up completely. I do want it to sit underneath because I like to have the same objects be shown throughout the painting over and over again, so it shows that that's the object that's moving in time. So I suggest using the same objects and showing that their movement throughout the piece. You can see in the background that my dish scrubber thing has been moved several times already. And now I'm filling up the sink with some water because the sink got more full, so I'm showing that through time lapse. Now I'm painting the cast iron skillet that was in the right side of the sink because we used it to cook the meal and now we're washing it. So I'm showing its movement in two different places during two different times. Some dishes are getting added to the sides because my sink was too full to fill them up. Now I'm just painting a pan over the skillet, or a pot, sorry. And I'm just keeping everything very loose and very vague. You can put a little bit more detail in it, but I suggest keeping things kind of painterly and loose because it gives the illusion of movement and the illusion of gesture and that kind of like emotional, psychological feeling of that. And now the copper pan is being moved into the right side of the sink again because it was washed and it's being dried, but I'm not taking it out of the left side. I do want to show that it's been moved from right to left. And this is the final result of the painting. So it's just a really gestural painting. You can see all the objects that have been moved in different places. You can see there's a lot of contour drawings happening throughout the painting. And also I have some areas that are more detailed. I don't use the method of glazing and layering translucent layers too much. I do suggest doing that because it's a lot of fun and I think it will show those layers a little bit more thoroughly. And since you guys are working on it a little bit longer and you have larger paintings, I suggest trying that and also trying the contour method to give that psychological sense of movement. And that is it. So if you guys have any more questions about it, please let me know.